Hi everyone and welcome back. Busy times. My focus today is on the Velvet. I want to see if I can get it up to an MOT really. That's the aim, that's the key. I don't actually know where it sits. I know the first thing that's needed is to see if it fires up, because I haven't fired it up for 2 or 3 weeks. If I remember rightly, I rerouted the fuel lines to see if it will start better, rather than going through the system it's had in place. Let's see what we get. So it's still kind of throwing its fuel up, yeah, into the carb. If it doesn't start any easier than this, then it is definitely a new fuel pump situation, which is straightforward enough to do. Yeah, I wouldn't be happy with that as a bike. You see, if I bought a bike and I was cranking every morning like that, it would drive me nuts. So yeah, it was tempting to get it warm today, get it to an MOT. I mean, it wouldn't hurt to get the MOT bit done and then do the rest. We must have a touch of fuel squirting in now. Yeah. Problem is, there's not a problem with any of the bike now. It's about getting enough fuel in, and then for it to idle and do its thing appropriately. Yeah, for me it would drive me nuts. So now we've got enough fuel in. Now I have no doubt that it will run and ride all day. But you can't be doing that in the mornings. It's not fair on the new owner, so it's definitely not an option. Let's get it warm though. What I'll do is I'll let it sit for a minute or two to warm up. CB200 is going tomorrow. Going all the way to Wales. It's going to our friend of the channel. He is going to he knows these bikes. He knows Hondas. He's done Hondas his whole life. I have no doubt it's in great hands with him. What I need to do today is get it ready, get all of the extra parts. I've got bits. I kept everything from it, but like I've got bits like the original badges are here. Yeah, but ultimately it's a 4-hour journey, 4.5-hour journey, get it up to him. I'm taking a part exchange off him. It's a bike he's been working on. I think it's a Mutt or what, it's a Chinese bike, but it's worth very little out in Wales, and it's probably worth £1,000 here. So I thought, let's do it. We'll do each other a favour, and he's the pro. I have no doubt he will get this sorted. We saw him here last week or the week before. Anthony, his name is, a lovely guy actually. He's the one who told me to paint the mudguard on the CBR 125, because it was very slack not to, and he was of course very correct. So technically it would be MOTable today. It will start. I've just wired in this number plate light, which it didn't have. That works well. Let's have a look. Lovely. I'll show you it will start. All the brake lights are working, shocks are good, so it's definitely MOTable at this stage. But there's not actually a SIP fan available, so I'll do it next week, I guess, which is fine. Not the end of the world at all. I forgot to mention that I potentially ordered the parts for the little Peugeot moped. I say potentially because actually I'm not sure if they're right. It was very hard to work out what this engine was. Nowhere is it clear what this engine is. I think these parts fit a Peugeot Speedfight 3. I think it's the same year of engine. I think it's the same engine. But yeah, you'd be amazed. There's no parts out there for it because you can't work out what the engine is. But ultimately, it's a sim engine. Look, sim, and it's a Peugeot there used a Chinese engine. I don't get that really. When they had good Speedfight engines in the past, Speedfight 1 and 2 were very good Peugeot engines, I thought. Yeah, so finding parts impossible. One thing I can't work out is the spring system. It appears to have one spring, which I've only ever known them to have two, one on the inside, one on the out. But the top one, I think, also has one spring, so I do think it's a one spring system. So carbs are back together for that 250. I think I'm going to pull out the Peugeot and start stripping the head a touch. I'm curious as to what's going on there, so I'm going to bring it over here. So here we are, we're back to this. At the moment, all of the exhaust bolts up here have spun. That's good. If I can get the exhaust off, I'll give it a de-rust and a spray of high temp. I haven't touched the exhaust ones yet, but they kind of look okay, so I have a feeling they'll be alright. From there, it's all of this plastic crap everywhere. Oh god. Looking at it now, I've stripped everything away. It shouldn't take too much. So everything's clear. All the plastics are loose alongside here like this. So I'm hoping I don't need to take them fully off. They're not overly torqued. Left hand. Let's have a look. Ah, wow. Nah. There's been work. Nah. There's been work done in here before, and yeah, they weren't. I mean, you guys know sometimes I'm not great with torque settings. I do have my torque wrench. That one's torqued. I do have my torque wrench. I do use it when it's needed. I use it on certain things, normally when you're crushing gasket or something. So but they were, you saw them, they were left hand tight, so yeah, not great at all. Cam chain tension's out. It's a good opportunity to test it because we've had them fail in the past. It shouldn't press back. You should wind it back in there, and then you should put the cap on. Funny enough, this doesn't have a separate spring. Now, I've ordered some separate springs for these systems because the internal springs can break and then the separate spring will do the same job. I'm surprised more and more engines have got rid of the external separate spring, and it's a backup mechanism. It's really interesting. A tiny little spring costs 0 point something of a pence, and they're not putting them in. That's a ridiculous money saving thing. Cool. Let me pop this and see how we do anything. I don't think I'm anywhere near top dead, am I? I thought I set it last week. Close to, yeah, I think. So you see the lines up and down there. Close to. I might mark the chain in a couple of spots to try and get it back in its same order, actually. I think that might be helpful. And then I'm going to decide whether I'm pulling this chain off. I think there's enough slack to pull it off to the side. So let me just mark. I'm going to mark 3 spots, and then I have more chance of timing it properly when I'm back. So heads off. Couple of things here. When I pulled the head off, the collets fell out, or at least one did. I saw it ping out somewhere, and the cap, there you go. Yeah, that's good. That's a result. That's one there. I definitely saw 2 items ping out. I'm hoping to find the hat. The hat is probably my biggest concern right now. I definitely saw it. It flew. When I pulled it, it kind of sprung. It may even have gone in here. My ideal would be to find one more collet. Look, I think the one of the collets has been pinging around in there, smashing around in there. I don't think it's dead in there, actually. But I think one of the collets has been pinging around in there, which means it could be just disintegrated, or it could be in the exhaust. I'm gonna have to kind of consider that. But what am I left with? I need to see if my top hat. Exhaust valve is definitely bent. And actually, look, more potential. Yeah, I think one of the collets went in there, and has dug it out a touch. This is what we've got at the moment. This is what we're working with. Look, definitely a sim top. Look, that pistons. It's quite nipped, actually. Again, I don't think it would hugely mess with compression, especially on these engines, but I'm gonna have to consider what's next for it, and if I can get the new parts. Let me for now pop out this valve. That's the key. Pop out this valve. Try and order a new one. I'll measure it up, and I didn't want to order the valves because it was so hit or miss as to whether it was right or not, but using the measurements I can now, and we'll go from there, really.